Hola.
Hola.
How are you, everybody? Welcome to CineGear 2018. My name is Samuel Ferris. I'm product manager for the Venice for Latin America. And today I'd like to announce that we have our first Latin American user of the Venice, which is Alfonso Parra, an excellent director of photography. A lot of you probably know him. You've followed his work. Lots of experience. Especially, he's been with us on all the festivals. So we also every year we go to the film festival in Cartagena. And in Cartagena, he's been with us working on like camera tests with the F55, the FS7, the FS5. And this year we did the test with the Venice in Cartagena, just with a camera and tripod, and some really cool lenses from Leica. Thank you, Seth from Leica, to provide us with the Talias. We got to use those, and also some Sigma and some CUBA lenses too. And thanks to EFD, which is the biggest rental house in Mexico, they were helping us out with all the gear, all the foul focus, the tripods, everything that we needed. So I'd like to start by introducing Alfonso Parra, and also with the video that we shot in Cartagena. So if we could please get to turn down the lights so you could start with a video, and then Alfonso will explain to you his experiences. How many people here speak Spanish, just out of curiosity? About 50-50? Mitad?
Not too much, not too much.
Yeah, look at that. There's a lot of hands, yeah.
We will try to talk in English, but some translate to me because it's difficult to say something.
I'm his camera assistant and translator.
Yeah, it's like a ping pong, you know? Hola.
All right, there we go.
That's all.
So we wanted to first thank our team, everybody that was helping us out, especially EFD that just walked in. Thank you again for all the equipment, support, being there all the time. Our buddy from Leica, Seth, and also Alfonso. And thank you for having this experience of what is HDR. You know, unfortunately, we weren't able to see the HDR on this projector. As you can probably tell, it's an SDR HD projector. So we brought, thanks to our friends from VidiExco, who brought this from Miami, the BVM X300. And I invite you guys to stay till the end of the presentation so that you could see the true HDR graded for HDR version of what you just saw right now. It's really an amazing view, actually. And Alfonso he's so good at working in the color space that he was working, when we were doing the color correction, he was working with just no scopes, just with his eye, and he was getting 100 nits like on point. And when we told him that he can go a little higher, he started seeing all of the possibilities going up to 400 nits, almost 1,000 nits in some of the shots. So you'll be able to see that here on the BVM X300. So please stay tuned for the end of the presentation so you can see that. And I'd like to leave you with Alfonso's presentation. So you want to go ahead and start? Thank you. Thank you.
I would like if this presentation would be a conversation. You know? I would like to talk with you about how you see or what's interesting of you about Venice. The first question with the Venice is, why the Venice? Nobody from Sony tell me why Venice, you know? And I ask from Sony people, why Venice? Or why not Madrid? No? or Bogota. I live in Bogota, so now maybe Bogota. And I think the most important difference from Venice, from other cameras from Sony, is color. You know, for me, the color is completely different from the other cameras, F55 or X7, completely different. And he's going to translate me. A mí los colores me recuerdan mucho a la pintura veneciana del siglo XVII.
So the colors remind him of the 17th century Venice paintings.
Yo me imagino que habitualmente los ingenieros en Japón trabajan con sus ordenadores y con unos grandes diagramas de circuitería electrónica. Y para Venice, yo creo que alguno de los ingenieros estaba sentado, veía el monte Fuji al atardecer y decidió hacer una cámara que tuviera un carácter estético y no tanto de ingeniería o electrónico.
It really doesn't sound that good in English, but let me try my best. It just sounds so much better in Spanish. So he was saying that the engineers in Japan, when they were watching sunsets of Mount Fuji, while they were sitting around all of their electronics, they must have imagined how to capture this type of color and beauty in those types of sunsets, and that's what he feels that the sensor was created off of, based on that type of capturing of the most color space possible.
La pintura veneciana del siglo XVI se caracterizaba porque tenía mucho color y mucho contraste de color, con el uso de los colores complementarios. Esto es un cuadro de Paolo Veronese y este es de Tintoretto. I think Sony VENICE is like this, the intention of like this. Insisto, como nadie me contestó de Sony, pues me lo inventé yo. ¿Cierto?
Muy bien, muy bien.
And color is the great difference of the camera. No? You can see these two pictures from the shoot, and on the right you have the space color. El rango de color,
color space,
es
extended.
Digamos, es más grande que lo que habitualmente podemos manejar en los espacios 709, incluso los P3. Nosotros rodamos con el espacio de color más amplio, el S-Gamut, que permite coger gran cantidad de color. Tú dices siempre que coge millones, ¿no? Trillones, ¿o cuántos?
281 trillones.
Trillones de colores.
De color, sí.
Traduce porque si no va a ser difícil.
281 trillion colors. So what he's saying is that when we were capturing a much greater color space than what he was used to previously with the Rec 709s or even the P3. And when he started noticing that in the post-production, we were using DaVinci Resolve and also Adobe Premiere to do the editing, he was able to see everything that he was able to see with his own eyes, realistically.
Maybe it's true.
Yeah.
But I've never seen all these colors. By trillion, no?
281 trillion. 16-bit linear RAW. That's what you get when you're working with the 16-bit RAW. And X-OCN, which a lot of the stuff was done in X-OCN, which is also 16-bit.
16 bits, you know. Ciertamente tenemos una gran cantidad de color. In this place, with a marketplace, and there is a lot of color. Lot of different colors. You see different skin tones, the color for the fruits, many different. And Venice capture with any problem all of these colors. And the best thing is those colors are intensive, are great, but very organic and natural. No? Other example, I like to match this shot with the color between the backside and the red of the woman. La colorimetría de la cámara, que no sé de dónde procede, sé que es un sensor nuevo y un procesador nuevo. Y realmente tiene una profundidad, es orgánico, tiene textura, es capaz de representar todos los matices, los tonos más sutiles del color, lo que le da una apariencia muy, muy natural.
So he's saying that the colorimetry of the camera allows him to capture all of the details, all of the textures and the different skin tones and the different types of colors, the different tints of colors that were available during the shoot. And he's saying that with this new sensor, he's able to actually see all of those colors.
Y esto que está filmado, this is filming without any light, just natural light. So we have no control of the light, just to put the camera in composition. Y la sensación orgánica tan importante que tiene se debe al color.
The organic sensation of actually seeing those types of colors that weren't available before.
Y a la textura.
And to the texture, as you can see in this photo, the different types of stops.
Y de lo más significativo en lo que tiene que ver con el color y la textura son los tonos de piel.
And more significantly, the skin tones.
In this picture, you can see the face of the man, and on the right, you can see a RGB cube, and you can see how it's the two colors from the face, the light one and the most dark. Si se fijan, hay una línea, si ustedes unen el punto A con el punto B, verán que esa línea es prácticamente paralela al eje del brillo, ¿verdad? Desde el 0 hasta la esquina superior, la diagonal, que es el brillo del color.
Saying that there's a line between the A and the B, which allows you to see the difference in the contrast, and it's actually linear and parallel from the 0 point.
That means el color, el tono, es igual en la sombra que en la alta luz.
That means that the tone is the same in the highlights and in the shadows.
The color,
the color
no
tone.
el brillo.
Not the brightness, but the color.
Eso le da una consistencia muy sólida a todo el color que es capaz de generar.
That gives it a solid consistency of all of the colors that are capable in all of the tonal range of the full 15 plus stops that the camera can capture.
Two examples more.
Two more examples.
Same, with a white skin tone and dark skin tone. And you can see in the down the difference between the red and the skin tone in this cube of RGB. El espacio de color que nosotros escogimos, aunque la cámara no te deja escoger, realmente utiliza siempre el S-gamut, ¿cierto?
The color space in the camera from version 1, which we were using the beta version on the 2.0, but we were still only able to capture using the sgamut.cine. So that's what we used as our color space for all of the recordings.
Y los 16 bits lineales
And the 16-bit raw linear
permiten tener seguramente uno de los tonos de piel más naturales que podemos observar en las cámaras digitales en la actualidad.
that we're able to represent better than any other camera that he's seen to this day, the skin tones as we see them, all of the tones and the textures that you can see with the different types of skins. And that's why we chose the marketplace, because we had so many different types of skin tones, different types of shadows, and uncontrollable light sources.
In the upper picture, you can see the extreme contrast between the arm and the face, the dark one and the high one. And can you see in the RGB cube, you can see how it's in los extremos, ¿cierto?
In the extreme, yeah.
Los dos
From
puntos.
point A and point B.
Cuando nosotros vimos esta imagen en HDR, el contraluz del brazo, se ve no solamente la textura del brazo completamente, se ve toda la piel, sino que se ve el color de la piel.
So even in the highest highlight on the skin, where you see in her arm, you could still see color even in the highest highlight of that reflection from the sun that's hitting on her skin. So he's saying that these are from the two extremes. You could see on her face the darkest shadows, but maintaining color throughout this whole spectrum.
On the downside, as you can see in sunshine, with a very strong orange and red on the
Sunset.
skin. También era muy natural, ¿cierto?
Very natural sunset. Yeah, we just basically have the camera in the tripod.
And you can see the different color from the face and from the sombrilla.
Umbrella, from the umbrella and the difference in her face.
You can see all over the RGB cube. You have all the colors with Venice. So color is important, but texture is important, you know. And in these two pictures, you can see how is the texture of the skin tone. Not color. It's like las arrugas, ¿no? ¿Cómo es? Todas las arrugas.
All of the different wrinkles and the different tones and little, even the craters of the face. You could see all of those textures.
Que como son estas, es de lo más difícil para una cámara.
Which is the most difficult part for a camera to capture, a digital camera.
Otro ejemplo, another example of how Venice capture the texture of the skin of these old men, con las arrugas y los poros de la piel, ¿no? ¿Cómo se dice eso? Sam? Los poros de la piel.
You could see the actual skin pores on the gentleman's skin. And other thing we taste was the dynamic range. This is a very simple test with my charts. My chart is with some telas, ¿cómo se dice? Some clothes, different cloths, fabrics.
Okay. to see how is the dynamic range. Yeah? You can see here, you can see here the grease, gray, middle gray, and those are the value of the reflectance light from the grease. No? This is 200, 130 over the grease, and I expose and overexpose this charge to see when is the limit you lost the detail. So in highlights and in low light. So after that, our conclusion is that you have 6 stops over the middle gray, and you have 6 under effective. You mean you can see detail without noise interference at 6 under the middle gray. But camera is continuous seeing under 7, 8, and 9. You can see different level or levels of light. So, but the noise there is not se nota, no?
Yeah, in the very, very lower of the stops, you can start to see some noise, but the noise is organic, as you were mentioning.
Ahora veremos el ruido.
¿No? We're going to see the noise. He's going to show 2 clips. One captured just raw, no color correction. And then the next one, you increase the ISO all the way up, right? Just to see where we can see details in the blacks. Although
Sony dice que el rango dinámico son 15 stops, ¿cierto?
Yes, Sony says that the Venice has 15 stops of dynamic range.
Nuestras pruebas dicen que son 12 efectivos. Es decir, aquellos en los que se puede recuperar detalle en las altas luces y en las sombras.
He's saying with his test he found 12 where you can have complete detail in all of the highlights and the low light shadows. So 12 having, all the detail.
Eso significa que respecto, por ejemplo, de la F55, tenemos como un stop y medio más de rango gracias a la mejora del ruido respecto de la 55.
So thanks to that new sensor, we can capture 1.5 stops more of dynamic range in comparison to the F55 and have less noise in that capture.
Esto está filmado con S-Log 3, ¿cierto?
Filmed in S-Log 3.
2 pictures, and I put S-Log 3 with the value of this point, AB, and you can see what is the situation of the values in this curve. For example, this is very, very dark, very, very dark. I expose for the sky, and you see sky is 4 stops over the middle gray, and the faces of these men is 6 under the middle gray. If you see them, when you see this picture in HDR, you can see the face. You can see the face of this guy is 6 under middle gray. You can see really good. And in this part, you can see this is the sky. Here is 3 stops more or less, and this part is 7. And you can see too el techo, the roof.
The roof, yeah.
Inside, you can see clean. You can see clean with no much noise. Took a sample more. This is este de aquí arriba es un fotograma, digamos, de textura de altas luces delicado.
Highlight textures of very delicate highlights. So we're trying to measure here the tones of the sheets, of the bed sheets, in relation to the skin of the actress.
Y este de aquí, podéis ver que la parte más oscura, que es el cajón de madera, está alrededor de los -5 stops. Y tú los puedes ver perfectamente limpios de ruido.
So even inside the wooden cart, you can see details without any noise, even in the darkest areas of this shot here.
El rango dinámico no es una sorpresa para nosotros porque todos hemos trabajado y trabajamos mucho con la S-Log 3.
Dynamic range is not a question of you already worked with S-Log 3, you already know the workflow.
El ruido, noise. We really surprised with the low noise of the camera. we shoot at 500 ISO.
Yeah, we were shooting everything at 500 ISO before the beta of the dual ISO was released.
And this is a graphic of the test with images testing the noise. And una de las razones por la que el ruido nos parece tan diferente
One of the reasons why the noise looks so different
es que el ruido es igual en los tres canales.
because the noise is the same in all three channels. That's why they're so close together. So that gives us a non-video-like noise, which is more organic in the sense of what would be grain from film.
In the F55, you can see the difference between noise blue channel, red channel, and green channel. But with the Venice, the noise is the same in the three channel. That means that the chroma noise, the color of the noise, is completely different. Y la otra cosa importante es que a dos valores ISO como 500 y 2000 es prácticamente idéntico el nivel de ruido.
And the other good point is that he noticed when we did the dual base ISO, the 500 and the 2500, that the noise was exactly the same almost.
Luego tú puedes cambiar de 500 a 2500 sin que se note ninguna diferencia en la textura de la imagen.
So you can go from an ISO of 500 all the way up to 2500 without changing any of the texture of the skin or the noise levels.
In this picture, we shot with highlight exposure, to the sky. It's 5 stop over the middle gray, and the dark is 8 under the middle gray. So this is the normal grade. Okay, you can see the deep of the black. It's very clean, and you can see the space in the dark. And here subimos la ganancia sin más, ¿no? ¿Cierto?
Yep. So he increased the gain here in post-production just to see how far he can actually get information in the dark areas.
Entonces, en esta parte de aquí, desde los -5 hasta los -8,
from -5 to -8 on the stops,
la cámara sigue viendo información, aunque el ruido ya es, digamos, oculta.
The camera continues to see detail, although you can take it all the way up and actually get detail in both the highlights and the lowlights, adding a little more noise to the lowlights. You'll see in this video clip I'm going to show on this monitor.
Y se puede ver cuando subimos la ganancia que se ve, se intuye no solamente todos los objetos que hay en el espacio, sino también, por ejemplo, la pintura del cuadro, que era tremendamente oscura.
So we can also see details not only in the shadows, but also color in the shadows. So we can actually see the painting, for example, on the wall, and we can see detail in that painting when we increase the gain in post-production all the way up to the maximum potential of the metadata that was allowed from that raw file.
Como veis aquí hay evidentemente mucho ruido, there is a lot of noise, but we are 8 stop under the middle grade. But you can, puedes intuir el marco todavía del cuadro.
You can still see the difference in the painting in the background between painting and wall. There's still a very, very clear difference there, even in the when we didn't capture hardly any information. We weren't exposing for that when we were shooting. We were just exposing for the outdoor highlights.
¿Podemos ver el vídeo?
See, we're going to play the video on the monitor. Can we turn down the lights just a little bit so people in the back can see, please? This capacity of the Venice to be able to capture that much information in low light gives us the ability to see details in situations where we weren't able to see before, and also give us more pure blacks when we are working with the Venice.
If you remember the last clip of the video with the sunset, you can see the texture of the stones. We are backlight completely. The exposure of this shot is from to the sun.
The exposure of the shot was for the sun.
You can see the texture of the stones in the la playa.
Yes.
So, la cámara ahora y en las próximas actualizaciones va a permitir rodar prácticamente en todos los formatos y en todas las resoluciones.
So the camera is going to allow you to basically shoot in any format, any aspect ratio, and all of the resolutions from 4K to 6K, full frame.
Nosotros rodamos con lentes esféricas, las Sigma y las Leica, y con las anamórficas, que se notan cuáles son, ¿no?
We shot with the anamorphics and sphericals, and we shot with the Leicas, and also with the Sigmas.
Y las anamórficas eran unas CUBA de los años 70, de finales de los 70.
And the anamorphics were CUBA lenses from Japan. They were from 1970 antique lenses to give us the look that you saw on the intro shot of the city from the mountainside.
It's a really vintage lens. You can see all the aberration, spherical aberration, chromatic aberration, geometric aberration, but they're really vintage. Y en las es por dos, las CUBA.
Anamorphic, yeah. It was a two-time anamorphic.
So, uno va a poder elegir exactamente el aspect ratio y la resolución que necesita.
You can choose your aspect ratio and resolution that you need for your project.
Con un sensor que es full frame, 36-24.
36-24, 36 by 24 millimeters, full frame sensor.
Y en esa discusión, que bueno, en las conversaciones que tenemos ahora de cuál va a ser, qué nos trae el full frame, ¿no? Pues sinceramente, desde mi punto de vista, como director de fotografía, lo que veo es que lo que vamos a tener es más resolución, más textura, porque tenemos píxeles capaces de coger más luz y una profundidad de campo menor.
So he's saying, what are the advantages of working with full frame, and why is there this big boom for working with full frame? We're going to get more details, more sensitivity because the pixels are larger. Also, we're going to get a different type of depth of field, so almost 2 stops more of our depth of field with the lenses that we've been using, whether they be spherical, super 35 millimeter, or full frame.
Pero lo que no cambia es esto que pongo aquí. This is 4K, 6K, y he dibujado un punto de fuga perspectiva que coincide en el mismo sitio, independientemente del formato que esté buscando.
Sí. So here's an example of 4K, 17:9, and 6K, 3:2. And they capture in the different angles of view that you can.
Pero la perspectiva,
but the perspective
is the same.
Is the same.
Así que si uno, digamos, utiliza lente equivalente, focal, o sea, lente equivalente, diafragma equivalente y la distancia equivalente, prácticamente la relación de los términos en el espacio va a ser la misma rodando en 6K que en 4K, que en 8K.
So even regardless of the resolution that you're shooting, if you're using the same lens in a 6K capture and a 4K capture, the perspective is going to be the same.
So, nuestro discurso narrativo no va a cambiar.
And our narrative discussion is not going to change.
Vamos a tener más textura.
We're just going to have more texture.
Más píxeles es más textura, es un look más natural y más orgánico.
More natural look, more organic look because of the pixels, and then more sensitivity, more texture in the details.
Y este es un CUBA anamórfico.
And this is the shot that we shot with the CUBA anamorphics.
En 4K 4:3, ¿cierto?
In 4K 4:3, correct.
Por 2.
By 2.
Okay. Y este es el workflow.
This is the workflow chart.
We shot this test in one day, and the next day we editing and grading, and the next we show the test in the fixing.
Thanks to Salvador, his hotel room, we basically took it over and made it into a color correction suite. And poor guy couldn't sleep because we were working pretty much overnight. So.
Entonces nosotros grabamos en X-OCN, que es un archivo RAW con cierto grado de compresión, pero que visualmente es indistinguible del RAW.
So we use X-OCN, which he noticed from his tests that were indistinguishable between a X-OCN file and a RAW file, both maintaining all of the 16-bit parameters, and also the metadata is also able to change just like you would be able to change a RAW file, but with a certain level of compression, which is actually 30% lighter with X-OCN ST, and then 60% lighter with the LT.
Si no me equivoco, X-OCN son como 680 megabits por segundo.
Correcto. Sí.
Y el RAW son como 980. pero visualmente es indistinguible.
Sí, visually lossless quality between RAW and X-OCN with a 30% saving on your hard drive space.
Entonces grabamos nuestro material original en X-OCN, los proxies en XABC.
We recorded our proxies in XAVC and our master in 16-bit X-OCN.
El preview lo hacíamos en RAW Viewer.
RAW Viewer was used for the preview of the footage, make sure that we get everything.
Editing en
Adobe Premiere.
Premiere. Y con la referencia etalonamos y corregimos en ACES en DaVinci.
And then we did all the color correction in ACES and DaVinci by getting the EDL from the Premiere using the XAVC as our proxy.
Y lo más, no complejo, sino lo que fue más interesante de encontrar era cómo construir, cómo revelar el X-OCN en el DaVinci para que realmente estuviera bien y que se pareciera a lo que hacía el RAW Viewer.
So part of the difficulties, not really difficulties, more of a learning experience, was how to export our file from DaVinci to maintain everything that we were looking at in the RAW Viewer on our original capture. So there was a certain settings that we need to set up in DaVinci to get that exportation correct.
Dani sabe muy bien cómo es. Cuéntalo,
Sí.
cuéntalo.
Well, it's not that difficult. It's just to put, make sure in DaVinci that you have to use the Sony SDK to do the divider of the demosaic. Is that so? If you place, we use Ace Color Space in the DaVinci, and then we place Sony RAW as a demosaic or divider process. That's it.
Realmente fue muy sencillo. Pero gastamos un par de horas en encontrar cómo se hacía eso.
See, so we spent a few hours trying to get it right. So it was a learning experience for the colorist. It was a learning experience for Alfonso and for all of us during that process to see how we can best keep all of that information and highlights that we were getting with the dynamic range capture. And then finally we ended up with a PQ file, which we're going to show you here on the X300 shortly.
Lo de la conversación es una cosa que dije yo, pero de la que nadie ha participado.
I didn't get that one.
¿No?
Nobody has talked back. In this conversation, nobody's talking back. So conversation is A and B, and we're just talking to you guys. So we want to hear some feedback or information from you or questions about his experience with the Venice. Any questions for me about any of the technical stuff? Let me know. Yes. I think they use these Sony S-Log, right? As the IDT, right?
So
Yeah.
my understanding is with ACES currently in Resolve, you have to turn off the input transform for it to work correctly.
Oh, we use the Sony RAW ASUS.
Should turn that off.
Oh, really? Oh, there you go. We'll turn that off next time. Yeah? Thank you, Alistair. That's good advice, you see? So next time we'll turn it off, but can we keep the output device transform to Rec 2020 ST 2084?
Well, absolutely. What you were saying about the RAW using the Sony SDK is also very important, which is absolutely correct. It's within the debayer, so you go into Resolve, you select.
On the ingest, right?
No, after ingest.
After ingest.
So once you're in ACES, you go to your RAW settings, and you have various options there. You go to the Sony page, and there's a DaVinci debayer and a Sony debayer.
That's right.
It's really important that you do
Yeah.
that Sony debayer.
That's right. Definitely.
Eso es lo que nosotros hicimos, usar el Sony, ¿cierto?
Yep.
Pero
Originally, I think they were using a previous version of DaVinci that didn't have that SDK, and then once they upgraded it to the latest version, 14.1 was it? Yeah. So once at 14.1, now we're at 15 already, but 14.1 was what gave us that raw feature.
Por eso nos costó 2 horas.
That's why it took us 2 hours to figure it out. Really bad broadband connection in Colombia. We couldn't get any. We couldn't download anything from there. So uploading and downloading files not easy.
Como fotógrafo, tengo que decir que además de todo esto que estamos comentando aquí, del color, de los tonos de piel, del ruido, del rango dinámico, la cámara abandona cualquier tipo de relación broadcast que Sony ha mantenido a lo largo de su historia.
So regardless of, as a DP, his main concern is the photography part. But regardless of that, he's saying that the color space is all great, the dynamic range, everything is great about the camera. And one of the things that he likes most about it is that Sony abandoned all of the TV broadcast features from the camera. So it's specifically just the cinema camera. So he really liked that. Sony didn't try to do both on the camera like we did with the F55. It was really 3 cameras in one. Documentary camera, a broadcast studio camera, and a cinema camera.
Eso fue el ingeniero japonés viendo el Monte Fuji.
That was the Japanese engineer looking at Mount Fuji who made that decision.
So what was your experience with live grade with this camera, in the version that you had?
We didn't use live grade. No.
Sí.
Did you?
Sí, sí, usamos live grade, yes.
Oh.
On set.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That we had the guys from Sin Films were the DIT guys, and they were doing that on set.
Y realmente lo que él hacía era una corrección o sea, abría el RAW y lo que hacía era una corrección básica de gamma, no hacía más. Y
So he just did a basic gamma correction of the raw file that was outputting.
Basically a one light sort of thing.
One light? I think so, yeah, probably, right?
¿El qué?
One light, una luz?
LUT.
LUT?
No LUT. Ya, una corrección de gamma negro y, o sea, black, gamma and white, nothing more.
Yeah.
And it worked well, no problem with this.
CDO?
No,
CDO?
no, nothing. It's a documentary, really, no? We go really fast, go. And
Yeah.
my did, he want to say something, but they haven't done
How did you expose?
highlights.
With light meter.
Light meter.
Yeah.
Light meter?
Yeah. But because I have been working with the X-Log3 5 years ago.
So no waveform.
No, we have one, but really I don't use. But because I know very well this curve, you know. Now I'm shooting a TV series and I work with Slog3, and I like too much to work in the darkest of the curve, you know, on the toe, the curve, because it's really nice, this texture. No?
In Europe, we have several contradictory information regarding S-Log-Cine used with the ACEs. Sometimes at the beginning of ACEs, we've been told that using Cine S-Log-3 was not good because it was out of the gamut. Do you agree?
I agree with that, yeah. I would agree. I mean, we did it just to maintain an even workflow with ACES. However, the best option would be to use the full S-gamut spectrum for ACES versus the...
Some little colors just out of the yellow. And
Yeah.
Apparently it doesn't affect the
No,
color.
it's out, but it's no effect.
I have a question, and I belong to Imago, and we at Imago want the control of the sharpness back to this camera, because I will think that on the F23, F35, we had the possibility to change the level of detail.
That's right, yeah.
And we sent a lot of requests to Sony without any response, because at the difference of other cameras like competitors like Arri or Sony or Canon, we have the possibility to really change the sharpness on channels, which is good when making green screen or blue screen, and also to change the detail level when we're shooting ladies over 20, 25. What do you think about this?
Yo, como tengo la costumbre de tocar mucho las cámaras, cuando llegó la Venice no había nada que tocar.
He's used to tweaking all of the cameras from his past experience with Sony cameras, starting with the F900, that when he got the Venice, he just turned it on and there was nothing to really touch. He just shot and did,
Yeah, it's more organic for sure. But
Sí.
don't you think that for certain type of acquisition, it would be necessary to have this control back?
Maybe, I don't know, because I don't use detail in the camera, never. I turn off always. I don't use. But maybe sometimes you need, for example, chroma keys, you need some more
Green screen and blue screen?
You need, Pero
It's a request to Sony, you understand?
Yeah, well, let's ask James Cameron what he thinks,
I-
because he's using green screen and blue screen.
eso se le escapó al japonés del Monte Fuji, se le escapó.
He's got to ask the Japanese engineer who likes to admire Mount Fuji's. Can we show the? I guess we got a few minutes. I just wanted to show the video real quick
I
in
would like
HDR.
to see this video in HDR because it's really beautiful to see how it's the deep of color, the contrast, the black are really, really nice. So if you want, you can see it here better than the projector.
Yeah, you can come closer too, so you can see the detail. And also, I wanted to say, and this project was all done in honor of Andy Nellis. Andy Nellis is a X-OCN employee who helped us start all of this digital cinema movement in Latin America, and he was my mentor. I learned a lot from him, and I wanted to just, make this project in memory of Andy Nellis and thank him for all of his years of hard work. Unfortunately, he passed away due to cancer a year after retiring from Sony. So it was a very tough loss for all of us, and this was all done with him in mind. So thank you, Andy.